Ohayo gozaimasu. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this morning service. I'd like to say, and perhaps maybe not too far in the distant future, I'll be able to say, it's good to see all of you here this morning. But since I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll begin this morning's service. If you'll please join in the reading of Sambujo, followed by Juseige.
Namandavs, 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 namandavs.
생안
이심의
이심의
그여 이사이
If you would please join now in the reading of the Golden Chain. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much again, everyone, for joining us this morning. This morning we have our speaker is Michael Jones, and he will now join us for this morning's Dharma message. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Sensei. Good morning, everyone. Please join me in Kansho. Gentle are Buddha's children in school, at temple, or at play. Gentle are Buddha's children in thoughts, words, and deeds. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Well, again, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And let's talk a little bit here. So last time I spoke with you in May, we were celebrating Mother's Day. In 2 weeks, it'll be time to celebrate Father's Day. This is the time when we take a few moments to think about our mom and our dad. And it's important that we do this, not just on these 2 days, once a year, but we should think about them frequently. As their children, it's often easy to take what our parents do for us for granted. After all, they decided to have kids and agreed to take on the responsibility. As you grow up, your parents expect more from you. In addition to getting your schoolwork done, they probably ask you to take care of some things around the house. Maybe it's just to keep your room from looking like a total disaster, or maybe they expect you to do a few more chores than that. They have rules for you to follow, like what time you go to bed, or if you're a little older, a rule for by what time you need to be home. I realize this may be a little different right now with the COVID restrictions, so maybe it's by what time you need to turn off all your devices and go to sleep. Do your parents have rules about what you can, cannot, and must eat? More vegetables, less candy, no soda, and so on? Where do they get all these rules? Some of the rules come from rules that they had when they were growing up. Others may come from doctors or other experts in the field of parenting or raising children. Do you ever get upset when they tell you no when you ask for something or ask to do something or go to somewhere? I'm sure many of you feel you hear no a lot more than you hear yes. Do you ever think they're just being mean when they say no? Being a parent is not as easy as it may seem. It's not just about setting rules and bossing around your kids. There's a lot of thought that goes into the answers they give you. Remember, I said that they probably get some of their answers from the way they were raised by their parents. You know, your bachan and jichan, grandmother and grandfather. Some parent might think that they were raised too strictly and they try to change their style to be more lenient. Others may feel, looking back, that they were given too much freedom and now they want to give you a little more restrictive boundaries. I know that for me and my wife, the two of us were raised very differently. So our opinions, if we base them on how we were raised, were already in conflict just between us. Whether you realize it or not, the world has changed a lot in just the one generation between when your parents were children and now, when they are the parents. The world, in their view, is more complicated and more dangerous. Let's just think about the last 3 generations, your grandparents, your parents, and you. I'm probably close to the age of your grandparents, if not a little older, so I'll use my own situation. I was born in the 50s and grew up in the 60s and 70s. What were the things that were part of my life? School was close by, so I walked or rode my bike, usually by myself, starting when I was in kindergarten. After school activities were limited compared to today. Some sports, maybe scout meetings, and by middle school and high school, some clubs at the school. I also took music lessons on the other side of town, for which I would ride public bus system, transferring from one bus to another in downtown San Jose and coming home after dark, again by myself, starting at the age of 9. I know my wife didn't have this flexibility, but I was on my own after school most days and would ride my bike, sometimes many miles from home, with my friends. We had TV, black and white, until I was about 11, and you actually had to get up and walk over to the TV to change the channel, adjust the volume, and in our case, rotate the antenna. Since there was really not that much to choose from on TV and nothing with significant bad content, our parents didn't worry too much about what we watched. We also had radio, and I was lucky enough to have a stereo and a growing record collection. Back then, the primary threats to my safety were cigarettes, alcohol, and tobacco and drugs. Now, fast forward to when our kids were growing up, and I realized this fast forward phrase was not in our vocabulary back when I was a kid. Schools were close, but we walked with them or drove them to school until they were in middle school. There were more after-school activities, but most of them were at the school. We drove them to music lessons, soccer, and other activities. There were an increasing number of things for them to participate in besides scouting: soccer, basketball, baseball, school clubs, CYS, and taiko. They had video games and a first-generation personal computer with dot matrix printer. They grew up watching cartoons and movies on VHS tapes and the TV had more channels and a remote control. We closely monitored what our kids watched and made choices for them. To this day, you can listen to our kids tell the story about Dad not letting them watch The Simpsons. The threats to the safety of our kids included the same as we had: cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs, but there were also more occurrences of kids being hassled by, abused by, and even abducted by strangers. So our kids never played outside without an adult present. Fast forward to now. Our granddaughter will be escorted to school, even though it's very close. There will be a broad choice of activities, but she will be accompanied by at least one adult to all of them. There are many more after-school activities, but for any of them away from home or school, she will be taken to them by one of her parents. There is now, as you're very well aware, a huge number of choices of activities involving TV or the internet. TV has hundreds of channels available, and many carry programming that we would not allow our children to watch. And the internet comes with a host of dangers. So parents are now very attentive to what you watch on TV. Additionally, your parents probably put restrictions on your access to the internet and tell you to let them know if anyone you don't know tries to contact you through the email or over the internet. Many of you probably have access to a computer, some sort of pad device, and maybe even a smartphone. There are literally thousands of ways for people with bad intentions to reach out to you and to cause you harm. There's a term that is new with your generation, a term that describes a threat we never had. Cyberbullying is real, and it has resulted in great harm to many young people. Some have even taken their own lives after being bullied online. And we still have the threats of cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs, but now add vaping devices. So as you can see, the world has become a more dangerous place for children. Hence, parents have had to become more watchful and restrictive. But they do this because you matter. You matter to them. You matter to your friends. You matter to all of us. Parents have to make decisions about you every day, and in most cases, many times a day. There is no manual on how to raise your kids, although there are hundreds of books and YouTube videos to tell them how they are doing it wrong. But they are doing the best they can, and with every decision, their love for you and their need to protect you is at the top of their list. They want you to be happy, but before they can worry too much about your happiness, they want you to be safe. Do parents make mistakes? Of course we do. I made mistakes when my kids were growing up. Just ask them. I'm still making mistakes about decisions I make about them now that they are all adults. Again, just ask them. But remember that the reasons parents work so hard at this is that you matter. And speaking of work, it was much less common when I was a kid that both parents had jobs. In many households, mom had a full-time job as the homemaker and parent, so she was home with the kids during the day. In today's world, and particularly here, where it's so expensive to live, in most families, both parents work outside the home. This makes it more challenging to make sure that you are always safe, healthy, and happy. What we want for you is for you to be you, just as you are. We want you to be safe, healthy, and happy. And for parents, that is the order of the priority. First, we want to make sure you're safe. Then we want to make sure you're healthy. Then we do everything in our power to help you be happy. You matter. You are important. You're a special person. You're one of a kind. There is only one you. I know what you're asking yourself now. Where is my Buddhist lesson in all of this? Well, here it is. First of all things and people are interconnected. The experiences I had as a child have impacted how I raised my kids, and in turn, their experiences have impacted how they're raising theirs. Next is impermanence. Everything changes. The world has many more things going on at once, and they are happening much faster. Parents are working more hours, which gives them less time to be with you, which makes them worry more, which makes them more watchful and restrictive. Finally, you hear us talk about compassion of Amida Buddha for all of us. Amida's compassion also comes to you through the compassion of your parents. They make sacrifices of their own time to give you as much of it as they can to you. They work hard to allow you to live in such a nice place and have all of these things, in spite of the fact that many of these things come with risk. So they worry a little more, watch a little more, and make a few more rules for you to follow. Their compassion for you is actually beneficial to them too. By providing for you, by showing you their compassion, they feel better about what they are providing to keep you safe, healthy, and happy, all because you matter. Please join me in Kansho. Buddha's compassion embraces all people, and his never-lessening desire is for their happiness. He loves people as parents love their children, and he wishes for them the highest blessedness, namely, that they might be able to pass beyond this ocean of life and death. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo, 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 namo. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your wonderful message. Amida is often referred to as Oya-sama, our parent. Oya is neither father nor mother, but represents both of these, the characteristics that we have in our parents who deeply care for us and who are always thinking about our welfare and our well-being. And we are grateful for that. And grateful this morning for your talk, Michael. I really appreciate your thoughts and your message. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us in this morning's service. Just a couple of announcements, and these will be repeated from now, but This year, Obon will again be virtual. There will be announcements about how we will be able to participate in that virtual Obon. So please stay tuned. The other announcement that I have is next week at 11 o'clock, or following the 10:10 service, will be again a discussion on AAPI concerns and experiences, and how we might be able to respond to the violence that is taking place within our community. So please join us. Be mindful of these two things that are coming up. Again, one at home and next week at 11 o'clock. Thank you very much. As we conclude, will you please join in Kansho and then Betsuin. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, everyone. See you in class.